Hi there everyone, welcome back to my channel and I'm back with another video and it's time to learn what is UI designing. So UI stands for user interface. So without getting delayed, let's see what exactly UI is, what it focuses on and what are the responsibilities of a UI designer. So let's get started. So UI refers to all the elements and functionalities that a user will interact with in a digital product. To understand it more clearly, let's break it down into four parts. Visual appeal, interactive elements, usability, information architecture. So we'll start up with visual appeal. Visual appeal refers to aesthetic qualities that make user interface attractive and engaging. For example, let's take color, font, icons, layout. So all these four are the main major important things which are present on the screen. It could be a mobile screen or a web screen. So any screen will have these four elements in main. So let's discuss about this. So color will evoke the emotions and guides user attention. That is when you try to get attracted towards a screen or an app when it is pleasing to your eyes because of its colors. So color is very important. Now next is font should be clear, legible and readable. That is when you try to understand what exactly the app is trying to communicate with you. Illustrations or icons. Icons can simplify complex information and add a touch of personality to the interface. And layout will create a sense of balance and organization along with a white space, which allows the elements to breathe and it prevents the interface from feeling cluttered or clumsy. You might be thinking, why is visual appeal so important for a UI screen? It is important because it creates a positive impression by grabbing users' attention. It improves user experience by, making it easy to navigate and understand. Increase the brand recognition due to consistency in visual styling, and, you know, increases the emotional connection with the users. So these are the four main important things that a visual appeal has on a UI screen. So now let's discuss about interactive elements. Interactive elements include buttons, search bar, toggle buttons, menu, radio buttons. So all these come under interactive elements. Other things like drop downs, vertical scroll, horizontal scrolls, carousels. So all these elements come under interactive elements. So they are the building blocks and allows the users to control a digital product and act as touch points, guiding users through the experience and enabling them to achieve their goals. So this is the main work of interactive elements. For example, if we take button, it triggers specific actions when we click on it, right? Search bar enables us to find specific information. Toggle buttons allows you to turn on and off a feature of the app, for example, dark mode, right? Menus, where you see an organized list of options for users to navigate through different sections. And radio buttons are used to select single or multiple options from a set of choices. So, all these are the responsibilities or the actions of the interactive elements. Now let's discuss the third topic, which is usability. Usability refers to how easily a person is trying to use your application. Easy finding it difficult or easy finding it easy to use comes under usability. So there are a few factors which has to be considered in usability like efficiency, learnability, memorability, error prevention, satisfaction. So all these come under usability. So efficiency is something like, are the users completing the task quickly without any unnecessary steps? Which means if the task has to be completed in 5 steps, it should be completed in 5 steps. It shouldn't take 7 to 8 steps, like unnecessary steps shouldn't be taken by the user, which leads to bad design or bad experience. So that shouldn't be happening. Efficiency is like how quickly and easily the target has been achieved. That has to be considered in efficiency. In learnability, if you're giving your application to the user for the first time, is he able to understand what exactly app is trying to give him? Is he able to understand what exactly is he trying to accomplish using that application? Okay, that comes under learnability. Is he able to read, understand what you have written on that application? Okay, all this comes under learnability. Memorability is something like, for example, you have been using it for a few months and then for a certain period of time you didn't use it, and then you're coming back to the same application like after 1 year. So are you able to recognize and remember things which you did on the same app 1 year back? That should be there because Whenever you use the app, it shouldn't be like you're using it for the first time. You should be familiar when you use it after a period of time as well, right? So this should be considered when it comes to designing. Error prevention. Error prevention is like less the number of errors, more will be the usability. The less errors you get, the more happy you are. The same thing. So error prevention is a must. And satisfaction, we have been discussing this from the first video that users should be satisfied when they use your app from start to end, whatever they're doing on your app, they should be satisfied with your UI. So these are the five factors to be kept in mind when you're designing the application. Now let's check the fourth topic, which is information architecture. We have discussed this topic in the last video as well, which is the UX designing video. So we'll be discussing the same thing over here because it is the most important thing when it comes to UX and UI. So information architecture, as I mentioned, it is how a app has to be designed. Every information is given in the information architecture. Like what are the buttons to be given, what are the categories to be given, everything is under information architecture. And a well-designed information architecture makes it easy for users to navigate and find what are they looking for. This leads to more satisfying and efficient user experience, which is what we want to accomplish by designing, right? So let's take the same example which we have taken in the last video, which is the Amazon app. So if you see here, you have Amazon home screen, then you have a category page, and in that you have one product page. In product page, you have the title of the product, you have the image of the product, you have the description, and you have two buttons. One states that add to shopping cart and one will be buy now. So if you click on add to shop cart, or add to shipping cart, sorry, so that'll be having list of items, price, total price, which is if you have multiple items, then it'll be totaling up everything and it'll be showing you that's the total price. And you have one CTA, which is pay. So when you click on add to shipping cart, you have to be going to the shipping cart and they should be showing you all this information. So it states, information architecture states that when you click on this button, it should take you to the next screen, which should have these components in that. So this is how each and every screen is been designed based on the information which the UX designers will be giving them. So UI designers also will be concentrating on information architecture because at the end they are the one who's going to design the screens, right? Not the UX designers. So they also focus on information architecture. Usually what happens is designers, UX designers will make this information architecture, and they will explain each and every section to UI designers so that they will design based on that. So this is what happens in information architecture. Now let's put all the four concepts, that is visual appeal, interactive elements, usability, and information architecture, into examples to understand how a UI screen should look like. So first we'll look into the first example, that is color. So I have two screens on the left and right hand side. So on the left hand side, you can see that you are not able to understand what exactly the icons are because they're visually not that clear. Okay. Next, if you see that same screen on the right hand side with the purple background, you can see each and every icon very clearly, and it is also more user friendly type because you're able to understand, read, and perform some actions. So color plays a very major role when it comes to designing UI screens. So select a color in such a way that it has good contrast, brightness, and whatever text or icons which you're placing over it should be readable and user friendly. Okay, so this is an example of a good UI. A screen should never look like this one because it leads to bad user experience. Now let's look into the second example based on typography. So I have two examples over here. So if you see on the example towards the right hand side, this one, so you're not able to understand where to read first, what exactly you need to focus on. So you might be reading this one first because it's in bold letters, then you might be going to the top and then coming back to the bottom and reading this one. But always reading should be done from top to bottom, not in either way, right? So, and the text of this button is also very small, so you have to focus on that to understand what is written. So this is a very bad hierarchy and example. So when it comes to left hand side example, you're first understanding what to read. That is good typography. So this is being read by you first, then you'll be reading the subheading, and then you'll be reading the paragraph, then you understand, okay, this is the CTA. So the level of hierarchy is very clear and clean, and you are able to understand what to read first, then next, and then what action to take. So a good typography makes your user journey more simple, so that you'll be reading it, very clearly, and then you'll be understanding it, and then you'll be moving forward. So typography is the second important thing when designing a UI. Now let's see the third example based on interactive elements, that is buttons. So before we look into this example, there is something we need to know about buttons, that there are three types of buttons available. One is primary, which is a filled button like this, and secondary is just an outline button, and tertiary is a text button. So when you look at the left hand side example, there is no differentiation between buttons, and all are primary type buttons. You can see over here these three buttons which I'm talking about. So this type of buttons will lead the user to be distracted, and it will lead to overwhelming as well. But when you look at the right hand side UI screen, there is a clear differentiation between the buttons. This is primary, secondary, and tertiary. So the UI looks more clear and more understandable, right? So give the priority to buttons before you design. Like mostly login is used, not the sign in button, because signing in is done by the user only once, that is when he uses the app for the first time. And after that he uses the login button to get into the app, right? And the last priority to be given to the forgot password, which is very rarely used. So this is how you give the priority and then design the buttons. Next, we'll look into the iconography example. Usually, filled icons means that it is selected. So if you use combination of both filled and outlined icons, it will lead to confusion for the user, right? So always try to use same type of icons with same border or line thickness. And one more thing to keep in mind is size of the icons. For example, if you're using 24 into 24 pixel size, then all icons should be of same size, except if there is a requirement, to just reduce the size, then it's fine. But most of the time, keep it in mind that all the icons should have same size and line thickness. Next, we'll see the layout example. So alignment of elements leads to good UI screen. If you see the left hand side screen, all the elements are aligned towards left, making the layout user friendly and visually appealing. But if you see the right hand side, the alignment is not proper, making it confusing again. So a good layout and with right hierarchy of text, as we discussed in the last example, and giving the priority to the buttons and the color chosen makes the UI screen more user friendly and will guide the user to complete the task through your app. So this is how each and every element has its own importance in UI screen. Now let's discuss the responsibilities of a UI designer. So the responsibilities of a UI designer, let's talk about the first responsibility is to collaborate with UX designers, because UX designers who focus on user experience as a whole, including research, information architecture, and user flows, so they collaborate with these people and they translate the UX concepts into visually appealing and functional interfaces, which makes the screen look more attractive, grabbing the attention of users and providing them what they needed. Okay, so that is the first responsibility. Coming to second, the design or create wireframes, prototypes, markups that are visually representing the interface, which will allow the stakeholders to provide a particular feedback based on the design which they have done, and iterate on that design before the development actually starts, or before we hand over the project to the developers, front end and back end developers. First we have to represent that to the stakeholders, because they will be providing the feedback, and based on that we need to do a little bit changes, and then we'll be moving on to the development phase. So that's how a design to development takes place. Now next is the style guide creation. Now, they develop a style guide that defines the visual language of a product, ensuring consistency across all screens and elements. So, this includes like color palettes, font choices, button styles, and all other design elements which are used in that project. Next, understanding user needs. While UI designers primarily focus on visuals, they also need to consider user needs and usability principles, because they may participate in user research, usability testing along with the UX designers to ensure the final product is user friendly, user centric, and functional with a good user experience. So, these are the four main responsibilities of a UI designer. So that's all for this video, guys. I hope you have understood what is UI, what makes up UI screen, examples of good and bad designing, along with responsibilities of a UI designer. So in the upcoming video, we'll be discussing about user research in depth. So thank you for watching and stay tuned for the next video. Please do like, share, and subscribe to my channel, and don't forget to hit that bell icon. And also do comment if anything is required, like if you want me to explain some other topics. Please do give suggestions as well in the comments. And I will be adding the UX designing video, which is my last video, in the description. For people who haven't watched it, please do watch it. So thank you for watching and have a great day. Bye bye.